So Chama has laid a very hard foundation, but I'll try and see maybe I can follow up from there. We are all aware of the need to have lawyers in our lives. And as young artists, as upcoming artists, as independent artists, is more important. So I'll start by asking, has anyone had any legal issues? Whether it led to court, whether it didn't. Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Laura again, and I am an Afro pop, Afro R&B artist. So one time I recorded with a company, distribution company in Nigeria. They're quite popular, and they said free studio session for female artists. And I went there and we recorded with the producer, and we were close to releasing the song and having an international rapper on the song, but they did not. There was no communication, and they expected me to pay for it. That's one. And then they were asking for a very insane chunk of mechanical. They were literally asking for primary artists when I wrote the song, and the other thing, the free studio session. So I had to. At first, I was defending myself, and then you can't do it. I had to get a lawyer. Went on for months, and at the end of the day, the other thing is cancelled. So that's what I went through.
So when you started the entire process, was there a contract? Was there any lawyer involved or anything?
No, there wasn't.
Nothing.
It
So
was just
you
go
guys
there.
just spoke and you walked in.
Yes.
And that's one thing. So you can't be doing vibes on vibes in the industry. So I understand that a lot of, especially when you're starting out, a lot of things that you do is built on personal relationships. Maureen said that, you have to work with friends. But you have to understand that friendship and business are two different things. And when you're discussing business, everything about friendship ends. And you have to deal with this thing because it's your life work. And if not anything, copywriting music lasts for a long period of time. So if you successfully release a song, we're talking about how each party involved is going to enjoy this work and is going to make money from this song for a very, very long time. So as you know, under copyright law, your music lasts 70 years after you die. So it's going to last your entire lifetime and after you're dead. So with this whole mobile debt, a lot of people start listening to his songs and all of that. And at the same time, people start asking questions, who is going to enjoy the profits? Do you understand? And I want to believe that he put his house in order. But as as an artist, you're supposed to have a legal team that understands how the profession and how the industry works and look at your paperwork to indicate and know, okay, do you have a percentage involved, what the percentage is, and who is going to administer this while you're alive and while you're dead. We have a lot of artists that have died, for example, like Marvin Gaye. His family is still enjoying the fruit of his labor till date, and they're still taking people to court because of that. So we can't be doing vibes on vibes in the industry. I know getting a lawyer might be expensive, but you need to at least have basic knowledge. And now more than ever, there are a lot of materials online. You need to understand that, first of all, in music, and I'm glad that most of you get that, music has two parts. You have your sound recording and you have your music composition. So with that, you understand, okay, from what angle am I going to benefit and from what angle am I providing services from? Am I just being a songwriter? Because we have a lot of established artists in Nigeria that are just songwriters on other artists' songs or make songs and they sell. Now, if you don't understand what your place is and you don't understand what your rights are in those situations, when you now want to deliberate on them or when you want to sell or do something with it, you're not sure where to come from. So basically, I would say as an artist, you should have basic knowledge of music, intellectual property. Under intellectual property, part that concerns guys very well is copyright and trademark. Copyright is the song itself. Trademark is your brand. Someone mentioned trademark when she was talking about name. Who owns the name? Do you own the name? Do another artist, do another record label own the name? Do anybody? It's possible for you to be an independent artist, and because you have an investor at the side, you sign a contract and you don't know that the investor owns the name of your song or your name. That happened to. Okay. And then when you decide that you want to walk away, you're walking away, but you can't use the song. Sorry, you can't use your name going further because the person paid for the trademark. Sorry. Exactly. So because the person paid for the stuff. So basically, this first part is trying to get you guys to understand the need to have basic knowledge of the industry. Now, within the industry, sadly, there's a little part, everything, there are legal, there's a legal aspect of it, but there's a part that is controlled by law, and there's a part that is controlled by industry practice. And that industry practice side is also good for you to know. Either as a lawyer or as an artist, she asks something about how many points so you should a producer get on masters and on publishing. That's an important question to ask. And truthfully, I don't think we have anything stipulated here. Choma said it depends on what you guys agree on. It depends on your leverage, and it depends on what you guys agreed on. The bigger person in the situation, helps in negotiating. And also, if you guys agreed on something from the beginning, if you're doing vibes on vibes and you agreed, okay, just pay me, I don't want anything, ensure that it's an agreement. Don't do, okay, gentleman agreement. We shook on it and that is it. No. So I'll try and take the different aspects one by one, and I'll start with copyright. I already said it. So copyright is literally the rights you have in your music. When you create music, when you enter into, let's start from the beginning, from inception. You have an idea. You have lyrics coming to your head. If you're a composer, you already have like, oh, I want it to go this way, this way. So you're communicating with a music producer how you want to go about the whole thing. From the moment it's an idea, you don't have anything to protect. But the moment you guys start negotiating, there's something to protect. From the moment you guys start recording, you have something to protect. At that point, when you start recording, it's necessary for you to have an agreement, whether it's informal or whether it's formal, even if it's some form of one-pager saying that this is how this engagement is going to be protected, or this is how it's going to go about. And the reason for that is that it's not all songs you start recording that will eventually get to the end. Now, when it gets abandoned halfway, what happens? Do you walk away with the song, or does the producer hold it? Do you guys just sit on it and just pack the rights till you find someone else that will probably, for whatever reason, the song can go on? Maybe you need a third party to invest money, or you need a future artist on it. So from that initial stage, it's not just your split that is important for you to negotiate. You also have to negotiate how is the studio times going to run. Do you want a lot of people in the room when you're recording? Everybody have their different recording process. Some people like vibes in the studio. Some people like being alone. All of those things have to be agreed on. The times you guys are meeting, the amount of money, and everything. Now, that has to be discussed at that initial stage, because at that point, there's a copyright to be protected. At that point, there's something in fixed form to be protected. And I was trying to talk about copyright, and I got carried away a bit. So copyright is your intellectual property in it. There are two rights. You have your music composition, and you have your sound recording. And sound recording belongs to the artist, or whoever is in control of the artist's rights. While the music composition is for everyone involved in composing the music. Songwriters, music producers, instrumentalists, all of that are part of it. And we have sound engineers also again in the background, but I'm not going to go into that because that's a long story. But all of that falls under music composition, and you have your sound recording. Once you get these both parts, you understand copyright first of all. If you're the songwriter, you have your part in your publishing and you have the masters. But if you're not a songwriter and you brought in a songwriter, then you only have business with your masters. The composition, except if they are transferring rights to you, have to be shared by anybody involved in composing, and that's for copyright. And like I said, copyright lasts throughout your lifetime and 70 years after. Now, the beauty of copyright is that copyright gives you the exclusive right to reproduce your song, to market your song, to exploit it, to perform it, to do whatever you want to do. And that means, except if you give someone else the right to do that, you as the artist and every other person involved are the only ones that have rights to do whatever you want to do on that song. And in most situations, the artists usually have the controlling rights, because obviously you don't want to have the masters and then have a producer backstage performing your song. Do you understand? So all those rights usually fall to the artists, and the producers and the composers just want to know that they are getting their percentage and they are getting their money. And that's for copyright. Now, your copyright, when there's an investor or there's a record label involved, that's a different conversation. That's when you now start transferring rights or licensing your rights to those people. And another part of copyright that is important is understanding that you have the right to license your song, distribute it, sync it with either movies or games or arts or whatever you want to do with it. Like I said, that's for copyright. Now we have trademark. Trademark has to do with you as a person, you as an artist. How do I brand myself? How do I know? Like when I come out and my artists and my audience listen to my song, how do they relate to me as a person? We know Davido and Shekbe. There's no song, like even if you don't know the artist, even if it's playing on radio and you can't detect the voice per se, once you hear Shekbe, you already have an understanding that Davido is involved one way or the other. That is his brand. So that cuts across your name, your catchphrase. If there's a color assigned to your brand, like DJ Copy and Pink, she can decide now to carry out a trademark on that. Now, what you have to understand about trademarks is that there are a lot of classes on that trademark. And if you're going to trademark your name, you most likely trademark it under your own class, which is entertainment, cultural, and all of that involved. Doesn't mean someone under pharmaceutical or agriculture can use your name, because that's a different class. Your trademark is protected under your class. So most times what people do is big brands that know that they'll probably touch hands and everything, they try to like do a blanket registration and register across board just in case. But most times at artists, you cannot afford to do that. Now, trademark registration typically takes about a year, 6 months to come out. Yes, it's a long time. But we explain the process and you understand why it's necessary for you to do that. So for trademark registration, when you apply, within a month, you reach out to someone, maybe a lawyer or someone in trademark office, and they'll carry out search, first of all, to be sure no one has that name. The moment they carry out the search, they start your registration. And let's say within that month, there'll be a certificate that will come out that is your acceptance certificate. Unfortunately, that's why a lot of artists and a lot of creators and influencers are flaunting around as trademark registration certificate. Is not. Now, the only thing that happens is that at that point, no other person can institute registration for your name. But that doesn't mean the registration is complete. You have to go through the process of waiting for publication. They'll publish it, they'll showcase it for a period of time to know if anybody will fight it before that. And yada, yada, after all this entire process is a year, 6 months. But that should not discourage you. It's important to do that as an artist, because if you do that, not only does it improve your brand, if other people are coming to you now, for example, and they want you to maybe endorse a product, you're not just endorsing the product as an individual, you're endorsing the product as a brand. So when you have trademark, you have more leverage to ask for things. It's not like, okay, I'm expanding my franchise, I'm putting my name on this, as opposed to not having any trademark registration. And that is it for trademark. Sorry, I hope I'm not boring you with legal stuff. So I'll touch a little bit on licensing before I enter contracts, which is like one of the most important things. So licensing, like I mentioned during copyright, is giving someone the permission to use your song. That's like the simplest way to explain it. So as an artist, as a person that made a song, nobody has the right to play your song, to perform your song, to put your song on any of that shit, except maybe likes of Instagram and TikTok now. And that's because those platforms actually go to take blanket license from most CMOs and most guys like BMI and all of that for them to have those songs. Or maybe you put it yourself on their platform, then people can like use it. And I know there's like some form of back end that they pay for artists and all of that. So generally, nobody has the right to do that. We, for example, at EbonyLife cannot make a movie and put your song in a movie without coming to clear it from you first. So that's the process of licensing. The person has an interest in using your song and he approaches you. Now I'm discussing this as an independent artist, because if you are signed under a record label, they'll speak to your record label or your publisher. But as an independent artist, they'll come and meet you. And then you now have you're within your rights to now look at, okay, what exactly are we doing? What territories do you want to use my song in? For how long? And all of that. All those factors into how much you're going to charge for the license. And when the money come in, if the other people involved that have active rights on that song, you share it with them. So as the artist, say you received, say on a record, you own your masters fully. But on the publishing angle, you guys shared, maybe you got 20%, producer got 20%, songwriter got, or rather they got 20/20 and you're still holding on to your 60% under publishing. When the money comes in, you share it both ways, like you divide it into two. 50% as a whole goes into masters, and the other 50% is shared for publishing. Now that 50% is now looked at as a full 100, and parties involved in publishing, that's your composition, now gets shared 20/20/40 or 20/20/60. Do you get? So basically what I wanted to explain is that the whole idea of licensing is that they have to come and meet you to clear. That's what we call third-party clearance. To come and clear your song and say, oh, we want to use your song, and this is what we're offering. Where we're going to use your song on. It has to be exclusive to this product or to this production or to this particular thing. You cannot use it because you cannot use it on any other thing that is not this, and all of that is discussed. So that is for licensing. Now, contracts. There are different types of contracts in the industry. So I will try, if you have any particular contract you want me to look into, I think it's best to mention. But generally, the basic concepts or the basic things to look into in your contract is the parties involved. You have to be sure who you're dealing with, first of all. Any of the contract, be it an endorsement contract, a recording contract, a distribution contract, a publishing contract, whatever contract it is, who are you dealing with? You have to be sure of the person you're dealing with. And you have to be sure that person is of a legal entity, either as an individual or as a company. Because if the parties are void, the contract generally is void, which means you cannot enforce it. If the person that is contracting you or if the person that's entering the contract with you is not who they say they are. For example, if I say Hub International or Hub Enterprise, and you go on that CAC and carry out a search, which is very easy and it's open to all. Like you can just type on your Google CAC public search and search any company. And you search and you find out the company is not registered. You cannot enter a contract with a company that is not registered. So at that moment, you reach out to the person again. That's if you don't have a legal team. I would advise, first of all, have a legal team that will do all of that. But let's just say, for example, you're doing it yourself. Reach out to the party for them to correct the name. Either put a valid name or put their own name as an individual so that the contract can be enforceable. Then you have to look at the, let's say, the subject of the contract, the reason for the contract to ensure that it matches with what you guys discussed. Is this a publishing contract? It has to clearly state that it's a publishing contract. Is it a record label deal? If it's a record label deal, it should be clear what you're doing for me, what I'm doing for you, what both parties are expecting from each other. Then there's intellectual property. Now, almost all contracts in the entertainment space and creative space has a bit of intellectual property involved, whether you giving out or whether you reserving yours. But there's some form of intellectual property. If it's an endorsement deal, which most people don't look into as having intellectual property, you're now looking at whether you're creating anything for them, whether you're creating any song for them, whether you're creating any product for them within that period. And if you're not creating anything, whether they have the right to use your song. Because you can be an ambassador for Close Up, but that doesn't give Close Up the automatic right to use your song. You're just supposed to represent them as a brand. Now, all of that has to be discussed, because if it's not discussed, both parties can just assume anything. Definitely, as there's a beginning, there should be an end. There should be a termination clause, just in case the contract doesn't favor you anymore or it gets uncomfortable. There should be a dispute resolution clause, just in case there's a problem. Nobody really has time to waste in courts. So you should be able to do everything you want to do out of court. And if out of court is not now working, it now go to court. That's one of the beauty of having your dispute resolution clause. Now, if it's a record label deal you're dealing with, or a publishing deal or whatever, it's clear indication of what your splits are and what splits you're talking about. If it's a 360 deal, they have to detail all aspects of your earnings to be sure that it's not saying, oh, royalties this. Because if you're saying royalties that, then that means all forms of royalties fall under that. Do they mean different types of royalties? Do you get a different split for performance on stage? Do you get a different split for this and that? So I think if there's, like I said, if there's any particular contract you want me to focus on.
Okay, so just to come in here, Chuma, I don't know, because I find that a lot of upcoming artists, sorry, Amanda, my bad, Amanda. I find that a lot of upcoming artists find themselves in this situation, Amanda. So can you please just touch on how they can, what they can do, preliminary, I don't know, what can even be done? Because a lot of people want that record deal, but they don't know what the implication of what they're getting into is. Because like she said, she has signed. So what's the next step?
First of all, never sign a contract without a lawyer or without someone, even if it's your friend that is in law school, without someone looking at it, even if it's a music exec. A lot of music execs have been around for a long time, know what to look out for in contracts. Without someone looking at it, never signed contract. Had an artist in Enugu that signed 13 years without knowing. Contract without knowing. So at that stage, you don't know much. You don't know much about the company in question.
House, please.
You don't know much about the company in question. First thing, your management is your management. Yes. But then you're supposed to also do your own research. You are the talent being managed. It's your life. It's your work. You are directing the management. The management is not directing you. They are just supposed to advise you and guide you. Even as lawyers, we're just supposed to advise and guide you. We are not telling you what to do. The decision lies with you at the end. So you're not supposed to even go into any deal that you're not comfortable with. But now you're at this stage, your contract has been signed. A contract that can be been signed if it has a termination clause, or even if it doesn't. Anything that has a beginning has an end. You can still end it if you don't want. But before you end it, I would say do your own research about the company. Take your time, do your research online. Ask industry people, ask around about the company, and see if it's something you can work around. Even if the contract is not favorable now, you can always amend it. And if it doesn't work for you generally, then look into dissolving the contract and walking away. But never sign a contract without someone looking at it.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Please go ahead, your question.
Hi, I'm Azina. I do Afro and Gausa. Please, I want to ask, I know you said you don't want to touch this topic, the sound engineer part, but I had a situation where I recorded several songs with a particular sound engineer, and he's actually my friend, but he didn't ask me to pay or anything, just did it based on vibes. So, and it's not bothering me about splits and anything. But the thing is, I'm looking at it I'm looking into the future and looking at it as if I'm earning money from it, definitely, I think it should also be earning something out of whatever is coming in, instead of just leaving him out of it. So I don't know, I know what producers can get off it, but I don't know what the sound engineer would be getting off the whole project.
Well, vibes on vibes, give him some split. Just sign something, because for now, like I said, it's still a conversation, and I can't even give you a confirmed response whether they are supposed to get something or not, because some of them come into the whole thing at the late stage and they are not involved in any, giving in any intellectual property or anything. Why some of them are there from the beginning and they tweak a bit of things. So it's hard to say whether they deserve to get anything. But since it's a friend, since it's someone that's been with you at these days, you can just decide to give him something. And if you're giving him something or not giving him anything, ensure it's documented so that tomorrow it doesn't change.
Okay, please go ahead with your question.
Okay, hi, I'm Peggy. I'm an Afro R&B artist, and I have this producer that reached out to me through a freestyle I did. And I went to the studio, we did a song. He didn't ask me for anything. I already put the song out. And right now, he's not asking me for anything. I feel like in future, he might come up with something. So do you feel like I should get him to sign an agreement right now? Or what should I do about it?
Get him to sign an agreement right now. Because like you said, in the future, anything can happen. So like I told her, if you're giving rights, if you're giving splits or not, whatever it is you're doing, ensure that and that's a general advice. It's not only when there's splits given that you sign a contract. If there's no split given, sign a contract that says that this person is transferring 100% of their rights to you. So that just in case tomorrow nobody pops up, because the intellectual property lasts for a long time. You might even die. So God forbid, none of you are dying. But it could be after your lifetime, and then the person wakes up and say, "Oh, I didn't know about this. Let's deliberate on it." So just have it locked down.
I'm Rogue again, Nneoma Rogue. So my question is actually related to trademarking. Okay, so like I have my stage name, which is like Nneoma Rogue. Then I have like a name that other people like to call me, which is Rogue. Then I have like an identity, which is NR7. So if I register all of these names, is it good for me as an artist with my career, so that when I maybe step out using these names, people still recognize that, oh, it belongs to this person and this person is this person still?
Yeah, it is. It's expensive, but it's advisable to register one. Or pick the one that you're sure that you're going to use, because like I said, it's expensive. But if you can register 3 of them, go ahead and register 3 of them. Yeah.
Amanda. So, Amanda, before you go, just briefly say 30 seconds. A lot of people here are indie artists and can't really afford the services of a lawyer like yourself. What is the best advice that you can give them?
There are a lot of materials online. Consume as much as you can. Personally, I create content. We have a lot of entertainment lawyers out there that create content. Binge on it. Understand every aspect of your industry, legal and otherwise. And interact and network with as much people as you can to get not just textbook knowledge, but experience knowledge as well, to be able to afford getting an entertainment lawyer. And truthfully, it's not expensive. You're not guys, if not, I would have used the joke of drinking, but most of the money you spend on things, you can just use it and get a lawyer. Even if you don't get a lawyer on full retainer, you can have a relationship with a lawyer and just keep the lawyer around in case there's something serious that pops up. Never sign an agreement without someone looking at it. You can pass it on to that person.
Amanda, thank you so much. It was a fantastic segment. Thank you so much.